Rennie Curran, welcome back, brother.
Good
Welcome
to see you,
Personal
man.
Professional Best.
Yes,
Listen,
sir.
I'm so grateful to see you. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, brother.
Yeah, so last year, when we huddled, we
Yeah.
did so in Athens, Georgia, where we're at again today, right?
Yeah, man.
Where championships and champions are born and where championships are won. And we were celebrating a two-peat, right? We had just won two, and I know on your heart, because you always be a bulldog, you were hoping for a three-peat this past year.
Of course.
We'll get to that in just a second.
Yeah.
But we also were meeting because we wanted to talk to our audience about the idea that in their own lives,
Yeah.
that there's a championship season that they can, in fact, author.
Yeah.
And how do we actually do that so that we too can have the fans cheering for us, those that know us best, family, friends, and otherwise parents, that they'd be cheering for us. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful you're back because you're one of those guys that in everything you've done in life, you've succeeded, not just in football, and everything that you've done. So grateful to have you here today. You ready to get started?
Man, let's go.
All right, let's jam, man. Let's tell the folks in the audience exactly what's up. Let's start out with, because both you and I wanted to be writing a championship season last year. How'd you do? How was the Rennie Curran 2023?
So it's never perfect, right? But I feel like for the most part, 2023 was a great year. Had great growth in business. Had great growth personally. The thing that I'm most proud of is the fact that I stayed the course, man. I'm big on constantly reviewing and reflecting every single day, every single week to try to make small incremental improvements. So although I didn't hit every single one of my goals, the biggest thing for me was progress. And that I did make, man, in every area of my life. So I'm extremely proud.
I could tell you worked out a little bit.
Workout, and that's a great point, man. Even like with my workouts, goal is 3 times a week, right? To go hard. Sometimes it was twice. Sometimes it was 4 times. But all in all, it was about making that progress and consistency. These things,
champions like you, you delivered nuggets. You don't even know that you delivered it. You used to watch film of how you were playing, and then you'd be making those tweaks and improvements. And you just said that, it was about the little tweaks and improvements.
That's it.
I think you asked me a question. I wasn't dodging it.
Yeah. Nah. How was your year?
Yeah, my 23. First of all, I'm blessed because I have a relationship with the Almighty, and so no matter what the circumstances are, I find joy still in my life. Sometimes the circumstances are filled with amazing abundance, in life, and everything's going great. And sometimes it's more like a desert season. Last year was a little bit more like the desert season, but some things that happened that were good, like where best actually existed. I celebrated my 39th year with Lisa.
Nice.
The boss.
Congrats.
So I got some advice for you because I know you're going to get married.
Oh, yeah. I got some. I forgot. I didn't even mention my other days there. But
that's a big deal. We'll get back to that so you can update a little bit more. But that's exceptional, and our relationship is still, the most important thing in life to me. Just she's my treasured best friend. Otherwise, we built 2 Habitat homes.
Beautiful.
So we're now at 41. We also gave sacrificially last year. I've been blessed as a person financially, and last year was one of the few years where I was in the desert, and so giving, not only in the business side of things, but giving was way sacrificial, and it felt so good to do it. And then we repeated. Jordan didn't get the 3-peat, but we did get the 4-peat because we were the Atlanta Journal-Constitution's top workplace and Atlanta Business Chronicle's best place to work. So that's the good list. That's the best list. That's the good stuff that happened.
Yeah.
The not so good. I drank too much wine. I have an affliction for red wine, so I was going to cut it in half last year, and I didn't quite get to where I wanted to go. So that was a shortfall. I also missed my physical last year, which I don't miss, and I did last year. So February 8th of this year, I'm back on the list because my doctor's yelling at me now. And then, and finally, our business last year, the industry had the worst year in documented history, 50 years. And so it was a really difficult season in business. So you got anything else about 23 you want to talk to us about?
2023 was amazing, man. So I proposed to my girlfriend of 3 years, and so she's now my fiance. huge step for me, man. I've come a long way.
This is your minute right now. Say
Yeah.
something exceptional about you.
Right.
Your life's richer now, isn't it?
It's so much richer, man. You know, learning how to compromise, learning how to do a lot of this. But no, that was one of the big highlights for the year, man.
Awesome.
Definitely a huge
Congratulations.
step. Yes, sir. You know, just taking that next step forward. Business-wise, got my first major consulting client,
Awesome.
transport
Congratulations.
enterprise leasing. That's been big, man. Just getting more, moving from being a motivational speaker to now more consulting and coaching. So working on leadership, working on strategy and things like that. Nonprofit has been going well. We're able to make a lot of impact.
Game
Changers
changers.
Foundation.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So able to host some camps, really able to do a lot more mentorship and helping some athletes in terms of their transition. So it's been a lot of great things.
You know, most people, because we were in here and Fred Munzenmeyer, who's one of the folks that's here, played at the University of Georgia. We were reminiscing with Fred and then also with one of the chaplains that was at Georgia, right? So
Yeah.
most people know you through the life they witnessed and watched football-wise. And we're going to get to this in a minute because there's a success formula in life, right? Whether it's in football or whether it's in getting in shape or whether it's being good in marriage, there's a success formula. That's one of the things I want to share. But I'm really grateful to know you. One of the things that happened last year, you didn't think it was a big deal. I did.
Okay. What was it?
So, by the way, for our audience, Rennie, how long have you been a motivational speaker now?
Man, it's been about 10 years. So
Yeah.
I started, I started actually at University of Georgia. I would go out and I would speak to Little League teams. I would go to churches. I would go to FCA and talk. But officially, I started in 2013. Actually, is when I built my website from scratch and really just started actually doing it for a little bit of coins.
Well, you did something last year that we've done for years, which is to survey our customers. And
Yeah.
last year you had a gentleman reach out to us and say, hey, you know, Rennie has asked me to do some work and get some feedback about what he does really, really, really well and what other ideas you might have about how he could do things better. And I'll tell you what, that humility, and I just invite all of you, all of us, you know, if you'll ask the people that are in your life that care about you, the things that you can do better personally, the things you can do better professionally, things you can do better in your health life, they'll tell you. If they love you and care for you, they'll tell you. And I gave feedback last year, but I was so impressed that I received that call because we've had, 50 top speakers be a part of our program. It's the first time it's ever happened.
Oh, wow.
So,
wow, that means a lot. Yeah.
Just doing your thing, right?
Extremely big on that, man. I really think it's important. And as you share with the audience, man, it's so important to just take that time to have that self-reflection and to, have those people around you who are honest and who give you honest feedback. I think that's one of the biggest problems that people have is lack of self-awareness. And a lot of it is because they don't take the time to really reach out to people and say, hey, how am I really? Or getting others outside of them to, to be that better person. Part of get feedback.
So let's talk about that thing that happened.
Yeah.
Okay. The Bulldogs actually lost a game.
Right.
I mean,
crazy.
No, it was like, I have friends work for me. They're like depression. I'm like, you did know that they would probably lose one.
Yeah, we knew it was going to happen. Yeah. It didn't seem like it was going to happen for a while.
I always tell my friends in life, my family and my friends that loss and pain in life, we all experience it.
Yeah, no matter who you are.
No matter who you are.
Yeah.
But it generally is preceded by blessing and by some gain, some great blessing that God's given us. So, Bulldog Nation would have done anything to have one championship.
Right.
And then they got two.
Yeah.
And then the loss and or pain, at the SEC championship became one of those moments where you either think about the blessing and the gain that had taken place prior. But let's talk about the players and the university and everything else.
Yeah.
They didn't get a trophy this year. Did they have a championship season?
I believe they did in many ways. I mean, you can always look at it from the standpoint of results and end goal and outcomes, or you can look at it from the sense of progress and growth and things that they overcame in adversity. And from that aspect, they definitely had a championship season. You look at the guys, or the reason even why they lost, in my opinion, was it had a lot to do with injuries. Yeah. Something that you cannot control. And so the things that they did control, as far as like leadership, as far as culture, as far as like these guys becoming men, I think they accomplished that this season.
Well, it's really important for all of us to be reminded that there are things that are in our control,
Yeah.
being intentional about having a life plan, becoming a champion, and winning a championship in your own life, just like UGA. And then there's things you don't control, injuries,
Yeah.
business climate,
Right.
health issues. There's all those other things. But I don't think the trophy, to your point, is the definition of a championship season. It may
Yeah.
indeed finish with a trophy, but sometimes it just finishes with that knowledge of us knowing that our potential and where we actually performed, the gap is really, really, really small.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It really, really is.
and they were that way last year, and I would have argued they were the best team for a very long period of time during this season. Question: I think this is like the most important question that we answer in life that we never get asked. And the reason I think it is because it directs where we think every single day and where we're trying to get to. It's kind of like our North Star in life. And that is, what is the definition of success for our life? What is Rennie Curran's definition for success or best in life?
Man, and I thought about that when you asked me a couple of weeks ago what that definition is, man. And honestly, when I think about my definition of success, for me, it is all about making sure that I'm maximizing all of the gifts, talents, resources, and relationships that the good Lord has blessed me with.
Wow.
Like, I'm big on that. I'm just being a good steward of all of those things and making sure that I'm not only maximizing it, but I'm showing others how to do the same.
Love it.
And I think once I can accomplish that, man, and it's aligned with God's calling for my life, man, I'm maximizing everything. And you know, when I look at my gifts and my talents, man, I'm doing everything. I'm operating outside of my comfort zone. When I look at my relationships, you know, me and my daughter have a good relationship. Me and my fiance, we're not always going to be perfect, but we're in alignment. We're working towards progress. I'm honoring my parents. You know, those different things. I'm maximizing everything that's been entrusted to me. Showing others and implanting that into others in terms of that mindset and showing them how to do the same thing. I feel like if I can do those things, man, when I get to the end of my life, I'll die with a smile.
Oh my goodness. You couldn't have written it any better. Years and years and years ago, because of course I'm in a different season of my life than you are.
Yeah.
I concepted that my definition would be to leave other people that I cross paths with better than I found them.
Yeah.
And I'm not always successful in doing it, but it's the thing that drives everything I do every single day, and it keeps me going in a certain direction in life. And you just described the same exact thing. What I find is that most people, when you ask them what their definition of life, success is, they don't have one. So if you don't, you wind up defaulting to, what are the circumstances today? Do I need a new car?
Right.
Do I need to get out of debt? Do I need to? And there's nothing wrong with those things. Those are important things to do in the goal for this year, maybe.
Yeah.
But in terms of where we're trying to get to in the long term, when we get to that place where you get to be a little bit older and you look back and you want to know that you lived a full and rich life, there's a fellow named John Maxwell. You know, John is one of the top leadership speakers in the world and top writers and booksellers in the world. And when we had him on our program a couple of years ago, I asked John, what's your definition of success in life? And one of the best answers I've ever heard was John Maxwell.
I began to ask myself, what is success to me? And I came up with this definition that really works for me. And that is, success is having the people who know me the best love and respect me the most.
All of you should stop whatever you're doing right now and ask yourself the question for the first time and answer it in a way that is not about what you're going to get, because what I heard you talk about is take your God-given gifts and benefit everyone else in life with them, which is exactly different words, what John and what I had to say about ours. And that's why you have that big smile on your face, Rennie. It was so cool when I met your parents. We did that event when you had Game Changers. We had that event, and when I met your parents, they had the same big smile on their face that you do.
Good people, man.
And I know they're proud of their boys, so that's one of the reasons that they had that big smile on their face. So you've been successful, I mean, when you were young, you had goals, to play in high school and then to start in high school. And then you had goals to get a scholarship and to the UGA, that scholarship. And you had goals to be All-American there. And then you had goals to become, an NFL player. And you did all those things. And then you had a goal to be a motivational speaker and an entrepreneur and a foundation and affect and influence. Is there a formula for being successful in life?
There's definitely a formula without a doubt. And as they always say, success leaves clues. And one of the first things I believe, as far as where it starts, when you talk about having a good life, a full life, a fulfilled life, is you got to be a little bit uncomfortable with where you're at. You got to be uncomfortable with your circumstances. If you're just okay, if you're just going through the motions, if you're satisfied with where you are, necessarily you're not going to really strive to do anything to change your situation. So I really believe it starts really there, becoming a little bit uncomfortable. Like you know something, there's something more. I believe God gives us that desire to want more, to know that, man, if I'm a child of God, then I got to have a high standard for my life. I got to want more for my family. I got to want a legacy, be legacy minded. And so once you have that desire, that burning, and you tap into that, man, then you get to your vision. What's that vision? What does that look like? You start being like, for me, 10 years old, man, I walked into the stadium not too far from here, and I just imagined, man, before, and I didn't know.
You were out on the field?
Yeah, I was at the 50-yard line. Little league coach took me, and that became my vision. That became my big goal. And then from there, it was about attaching that goal to something meaningful, something powerful. Like for me, it wasn't just about getting to the University of Georgia. It wasn't just about me getting to the NFL. It was about, man, what is this going to allow me to do for my family? What is it going to allow me to do?
Benefiting other people.
Yeah. So it was attached to something so powerful, so strong. It wasn't just about self-validation or somebody, a crowd clapping for me or anything like that, man. It really meant something to me where I was like, I got to do this. I'm seeing my mom waking up 4 a.m. every single morning, my dad fixing shoes 12 hours a day. I got to change the situation, man. And so that's what my goal was attached to. And then after that, man, the next principle was teamwork, having that accountability, having a village. And that's why I see a lot of people fail is you have these big goals, you have these big aspirations, but you don't have that person that's telling you, say, hey, if you're going down this route, say, hey, what are you doing? Yeah. Hey, what are you doing?
It's that accountability.
Yeah, that accountability. I had teammates, man, like my guy, Fred Munzemeyer, I had
so there to kind of put you back in line, right?
Oh yeah, man. No, I had amazing team. That's one thing I can say. A lot is said about what I was able to accomplish, but none of that would have been possible if it weren't for amazing.
When that Freddie guy had the ball and you had to tackle in practice.
Oh man, we used to meet up, man. He's looking over there.
He's still got a few.
We got some big collisions,
you
man.
too, yeah.
Training camp, all that, man. Just bleeding, sweating together. But I look at now even. You got your teammates internally, like my teammates that I play with, but externally, I also had a team, man, from, parents and coaches, little league coaches and chaplains and my pastor, who's my spiritual mentor. I had a team outside of my team that also held me accountable in life and who I was as a person and how I was walking, man. So all those principles are extremely, extremely important in terms of, really achieving that life that you want to live, man. I want to hear your principle.
Yeah. So everything you just said, success leaves clues. You were blessed in your athletic prowess, and one of the things, because growing up, I wound up playing college baseball. I was on teams my whole life, and played AAU basketball. They came recruiting me in Miami. No, they did. Fascinating when I look back now, but there is this when you meet people, and I've had the blessing with our program to meet a lot of people in a lot of different things they do in life. Mm-hmm. And what you find is that really, really, really the best people, the most successful people in life, it's talent, sure. Yeah. But what it really is they have a vision, and that vision is about a better future, not for themselves, but for themselves and everybody that they cross paths with.
Yeah.
They believe in it, and then they get a plan, right? There's a plan out there about how am I going to get from where I'm at to that vision, motivational speaker, that vision, UGA, that vision. And then there are, within the plan, there's where I want to go, and there's how I'm going to get there. And then there's the who.
Yep.
And the who is the orchestra of people your parents cheering for you, coaches that are actually there for you, and they're all kind of an accountability system. They know what your vision is. They know what your goals are.
Yeah.
They know where you want to go. And then there's nothing that replaces getting out of bed early and doing the darn
The
work.
work. Yeah.
You got to do the work.
That's the work.
you
Yeah,
know?
that's it.
Yeah, I tell people, don't
About that
negotiate.
action.
Don't negotiate with your alarm clock.
Yeah.
I mean, people have all their faculties the night before, and they set their alarm clock, and then it goes off, and then they actually give themselves 15 or 30 more minutes. And I'm like, I'm going to take those 15 or 30 minutes, and I'm going to use those. And I'm going to get my sleep, yeah, but I'm going to wind up getting up early and do the things that I need to do, because I don't want to not have a championship season. I want a championship season.
I love it.
This time of year, Rennie, Monday this past week, we celebrated Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
You brought up your dad and what he did, making shoes, fixing shoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Martin, one of his great speeches, he mentioned that there was only one guy he ever let shine his shoes. And the point he was trying to make is that person was so excellent at shining shoes, he didn't let anybody else do it. But, and then he went on to say that it doesn't matter that you shine shoes, it matters how you shine those shoes. And I would just tell you, wherever you're at, whatever you do, there's a lot that gets promoted to be this in life and get that in life, mostly money and fame. But the reality of it is, wherever your feet are right now, if you're excellent at doing what you do and you work your craft every single day and benefit others by doing it, you'll wind up doing just well in life. But Monday was the most depressing day of the year, not because of Martin Luther King Day. The third Monday of January is noted. January is the most depressing month of the year. The third Monday is the most depressing because it's the day when people who make New Year's resolutions stop. And what they then have to live with is the realization that they're not going to have a championship season. They're going to go back to business as usual, which looks like what happened the past season.
Yeah.
So we don't want them to do that, Rennie.
Not at all.
And by the
Can't
way,
do that.
you do that, Rennie's coming to get you this.
Oh yeah, I will find you.
He's going to come hit you really good. So there's a great piece of scripture, I think, that gets to this. So don't feel bad. I don't feel bad when I fall short. But there's a great piece of scripture I want to share with you, because the natural state for all of us is not to win championships, to pursue them, and to do the things we need to do. It's in Romans. It says, I do not understand what I do. For what I want to do, I do not do. But what I hate, I do. And all that was, the writer was trying to tell us, is that you're going to have to be really intentional.
Human nature, yeah.
And make choices that are often sacrificial. Don't eat that, eat this. Do the workout. I know you don't want to. I call my Peloton names, Rennie. I got a little potty mouth sometimes going on when I look
hear
at my
you, man. It's tough.
It's tough, right?
Especially when it's cold outside. And,
That's exactly right.
All the elements, yeah, man.
Yeah, and then there's that thing with your future wife, and there's that thing with your spouse, and there's a grind on that, and you got to work really hard to get through those things, and make sure that you're intentional about all of those things in your life. So I think we're all just naturally bent to do less than our best. Here's our best, and here's where we live, and that gap is the depression. And when you're intentional, choosing every day, having a vision, having a plan, having accountability, voices in your life who know and will help you, you close the gap. You also close the gap on what's going on in your life from a otherwise standpoint, which is the otherwise is depression, which most people are in it. But here's the good news. The Masters is coming soon. Georgia will look different. It'll get green. Flowers will come out. The days will get longer. They're shorter right now. And they'll get brighter, and the weather will get a little bit warmer too.
That's right.
All right, then. So let's move on. So you played at UGA, right?
Yes, sir.
And you know what goes on over there. There's some things that have changed, facilities and all that kind of good stuff. But what is 1 week, the day to day, what does that look like for a championship player? I mean, where does it start in the morning? And where does it end? And what are the ingredients? Because I want to get back to this success formula. Because I think it's able to transport itself into whatever we're doing in life. So talk to me, what does that look like?
Oh yeah, I'm so glad that you brought up that question because I still think about it to this day. Like as I transitioned out of that world, out of that bubble, I call it, I still had to extract certain things that made me great and apply it to my new life. Like there are certain principles and things that we did on a week by week, day by day basis, hour by hour basis that created predictable success. Like having a very, very specific and intentional itinerary. From the time that we woke up to the time we went back to our dorm room, we knew exactly where we were supposed to be. All of us didn't always get there on time and whatnot, but you knew where you were supposed to be and how you were supposed to
And
do
if
it.
you were running late,
Oh,
you knew
man.
somebody was going to be there
Somebody's
waiting
gonna be
for
there,
you.
yeah, with
Like
a
a drill sergeant,
yeah,
right?
checklist. And I mean, you're doing some stadiums at 6 a.m. the next morning if you're 5 minutes late or whatever it was. But you had systems of accountability. You had an intentional itinerary. You had a structure of different people around you who also held you to that standard, and they were always on you at all times. And then as you went through the week, man, every single day, I ask people this all the time when I go out and speak. I'm like, imagine if you're in your workplace and you got a camera crew that's following you around every single day.
Filming everything you're doing.
Yeah, that day. And then the next day in the morning, you got to watch that tape.
Yeah.
And you got to review it.
And somebody's telling you that what you
Yeah.
could have done better, what you
Yep.
could have done
And
different.
then you get to go into work, work that next day and film another day.
Oh, here we go
And
again.
then you get the next day and it's more film for you to watch every single day. Imagine how much on top of your game you would be. And that's how it was for us. Like everything is being reviewed, you being held accountable at all times, man. And if you're going half-stepping, somebody's calling you out. You're being constantly held to a level of excellence. But on a day-to-day, just from a granular level, you got your breakfast in the morning, you got maybe a morning workout before you go to class. And even in the classroom, you're in there competing with the best of the best. So academically, you're sitting next to somebody who made, 4.5 GPA or whatever in their class coming out. So it's not even there's no drop off academically. So you go through your classes, get lunch by 12 o'clock, get in the film room. So you're watching that film I talked about.
That guy who was following you around at work every day, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Watching
Now
that film.
you're watching your
with
previous
your
day's
coach.
work. Yeah, with your coach.
He's breaking you down. And if you have injuries, that's where you get it taken care of
Yep.
a little bit before that. But you're in the film room for at least 2 hours, typically 2 hours on average. Get in there. After that, you got a team meeting to kind of lay out the plan for the day. Get dressed, hit the field for another 2.5 hours, get showered, get dinner, and then you go to study hall and then do it all again the next day. That's your typical day.
Hey, Supreme Lending, did you just hear what Reddy said?
Yeah.
That's how he got to be a champion, all right? So, because when people graduate, okay, forget the NFL just for a minute, but when they graduate, get out from their parents, finally I get to do what I want to do. I often argue that, you're going to screw this up, okay? The natural, what I want to do, what I need to do, what I should do, what I don't do.
Yeah.
We're better when we're involved with a structure that holds us accountable and disciplines us at the highest level. I had an opportunity, Scott Cochran, who's now on the staff over with Kirby at UGA, when I was over about 4 years ago, interviewing him. He was a strength and conditioning coach over at
which is awesome.
over at Bama, yeah. And I told him, I said, Scott, you guys got the greatest facilities in the world. That was at Bama at the time. They got great facilities here in Athens. I said, and you recruit all these four-star kids. They've been training in places like D1 here forever. They know what to do. They know what to do. What do they need you for? Why do they need a strength and conditioning coach?
Because first, I'd love that they had good technique when they walked in the door, but they don't. This is strength and conditioning. It's going to be hard, but we're putting armor on you is how I say it. We're putting armor on you.
So you're building mindset, like the
100%.
mindset of the culture and what it takes to be a champion, personal, and be a part of it. And then you're also teaching them the technique,
Yes,
right?
the technique, the
technique
basics.
about how to do it, right?
Yes, how to do the little things. A plus B equals C, right? Well, sometimes you got to keep going.
I think we're all better when we have that environment
Yeah.
where there's a registration of accountability. And I joke with folks all the time, Rennie, that we're awfully happy that the Marines that defend us every day had a drill sergeant.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Right?
You're right. That's such a great point that you bring up, man, because I look at life the same way in certain ways, like you just mentioned, like a weight room. So many of us, like if you look at these different tools, right? We all have tools. We all have equipment. We all have skills, talents, abilities to do whatever and accomplish whatever we want. But a lot of times, many of us aren't using those things either we're not using it at all, or we're not using it in the right way. We're not maximizing it to get the most out of our potential. And so having somebody there who can say, hey, who can come up with a plan, who can be in your ear, who can hold you accountable if you're not doing it the right way, man, it makes such a huge difference to where you're able to get closer to reaching your fullest potential.
I mean, the best coaches that
Yeah.
you ever had, my parent, dad, best coach I ever had, the best coaches people ever have in life are the ones that love you so much
Yeah.
that they will not let you.
Stay in your ear.
They
Yeah.
won't. They won't
Yeah.
let you
It's
perform.
annoying, but yeah.
They're gonna call you up. And,
Yeah.
and,
Get
and
mad,
at the
but-
time, you may get mad
Yeah,
about
you
it.
get
That's
mad,
right.
yeah.
But if you think about that scripture, I do not understand what I do. For what I want to do,
Yeah.
I do not do. But what I hate, I do. We all need somebody that will hold us accountable so that we don't come up short and write a championship story in the 2024 season that you get to write and I get to write, all the
Yeah.
folks that are here with us get to write today. So what's a day in the life of Rennie Curran today look like?
Yeah.
Right? Like, let's just use today. What
Yeah.
happened?
And going back to, what you said about how a lot of people drop off in January in that third week because of their resolutions not working out and things like that. I believe there's a difference between having goals and resolutions and having winning routines.
Habits.
Habits and things like that. When you build in your goals and your whatever resolution you have, and you make it a part of your life and part of your identity, then it becomes something completely different. It's inevitable that you're going to do it. It's still hard at the same time, but it's how you're wired. So it just becomes something that's natural, something that you don't have to check off and mark. It's just something that this is what you do. This is who you are. And so that's how I tried to build my life, man. And, for me, the day in and day out looks like in my first hour of my day, and I mentioned this before, I have my routine. I'm still doing my DPJ, devotion, prayer, journaling. I'm still doing my meditation. I'm still, making sure that I knock out my MITs, my most important tasks during the day. I'm eating my frogs, the things that I don't want to do most. I'm knocking that out. Still making sure that on Sundays, I'm reviewing my entire week, looking at what were my wins and what were my areas.
Looking at film. Looking at game film.
Looking at my film,
Yeah.
in the form of this meeting right now. How did I do in this meeting? How did I do in my speaking engagement? Could I have done something differently and a little bit better? So really taking that time to review and reflect on a weekly basis, and you start adding these things up, man. And I've just seen it have tremendous impact on my life and those around me.
Well, thank you for giving us insight into your history, background with success, and whether or not people played football in the audience and had those experiences. There's a game plan for life, and it's a playbook, and it is transportable because folks like yourself who learned it in sports use it every single day. Now they're not in sports anymore, and mostly it's pretty simple. You just got to get into, as you just described, you got to get into the routine and the habits. You and I are probably in the same place every morning. Devotional. I'm reading my favorite book every single morning.
That Bible it's been put through some things, man.
And I
It's got
I
some
texted
work.
you. I texted you. You were like, "What? Your dog eat that thing?"
Yeah.
No, I ate it.
That's really nice.
No, I wake up every day, and rather than go like a lot of people do to email or to social media or to text, which is life, and I get to all those things just like you do. I start with getting my mindset right. Feed my
yourself.
soul and feed my brain so that the text, the email, the meetings, the exchanges are enriched by what I put into myself every single day. And it's no different than eating healthy, right? We're feeding ourselves healthy.
So glad you said that, because so many of us right now that are feeding ourselves trash first thing in the morning, and that it looks like that. You just scrolling, and then at the end of the night, we're feeding ourselves trash. It looks like Netflix, reality TV, all news, and it's just we're internalizing these things, and we don't realize how it's influenced us, especially mentally and spiritually.
Well,
whatnot. So,
when you think about what's going on in the world today, if you let all of that talk to you, okay, vis-a-vis social and every other communication channel that's out there, it will depress you. It will
You're
make
afraid to leave your house.
Yeah, no, I mean, goodness gracious, and
Yeah.
so we've got to make sure that we dictate schedule and we manage schedule, and it's got to start. It should start with something that's really good fuel for our mind and for our soul, and then of course eating right as well. If
Yeah.
I eat better this year and I read your devotional book, will I get guns like those?
Hey, you might. No promises.
I don't think it's happening.
Oh man.
You said earlier you have gifts. Your gifts are God uniquely created for you, and
Yeah.
and I have mine, and everyone in the audience. Be reminded, no matter where you are, you have gifts,
Yeah.
and make sure you own them and do the things that you need to do. You know what's interesting? So if you ever watch a football game with friends,
Yeah.
like a Georgia game,
Right.
or, I'm a big Georgia fan, by the way, but if I watch an Alabama game because my son went there, we hope that the players did all the right things.
Yeah.
We hope they got
True.
up early. We hope they ate right. We hope they worked out right. And we hope that they actually practiced right, watched film, took it serious. We hope they're really good teammates. We hope and pray all those things because we want to cheer for them
Yeah.
on Saturday.
Yeah.
And if they don't do all the right things,
You asking questions.
and
we don't even care.
we're going to start calling it out, right?
Right.
And some people might actually boo a little bit.
Mhm.
What's interesting this year when I was watching the final game of the season, I'm thinking about our fans,
Yeah.
your parents, my parents, my wife, my two boys, the folks that are in my family and friend circle that I know love and care for me.
Yeah.
And also for the folks that I work with every single day. Honestly, they're cheering that I'm doing all the right things in my life because they want to cheer for me, and it benefits them ultimately as well. So it's just something we all need to be reminded of, that we have fans,
Yeah.
and they want us to play at our highest standard, the best standard we can play at. And why shouldn't they want that? They want it for us, and we don't want them booing.
Nah. And I'll add a step to that, man. When I played, one of the things that drove me was not just the fans. That was something super important to me, especially being a hometown kid, being out of Snellville. I knew I had my former classmates, everybody from
They're
the
all
community that was
watching.
watching. And that could drive me crazy at times. But one thing that really stuck with me from that time that I played was that I made up my mind that I'm going to play for an audience of one. That as long as I'm honoring God with the way that I play, man, that everything else, man, I'm gonna please the people on the stands. I'm gonna please everybody around me as long as I'm focused on that audience of one. And that really drove me, and it helped keep my mind clear. Because you can have the best performance, you can do great, and you may still have somebody who's like, oh, he didn't do this.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not tall enough. Oh, he's not.
Well,
whatever.
we keep listening to
Yeah.
that voice instead of the voice you just described, and I'm
Yep.
with you on that, because I think what happens is we're working to get the affirmation of the wrong source oftentimes,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
if we
yeah,
get
yeah.
the right source in that relationship, knowing that we've done our very best to benefit, because of the definition of success, we have all the
Yeah.
people that are in our life,
That's it.
then that's what championships are all about. That's how they're won. Actually, let's turn the page.
Yeah, man.
2024. All right, so Georgia lost the football game. Then they
Yep.
won 66-3. Were you on that night? The after show?
Nah, I wasn't on the after show that the night that we lost.
No, the night that you won.
Oh,
The Florida State.
Oh
event.
no, I wasn't on that one.
No, you
I
weren't.
wasn't on, nah.
Yeah, so I see you a couple times during the course of the season, right? And
Yeah.
I always see
act
that.
like I know what I'm talking about. Man.
Well, you do know because you watched
Nah, I'm
the
just kidding,
film.
I'm
You
just
know
kidding.
what's going on.
Yes, sir.
But I thought it was important this year because the fans, disappointment is we didn't win another championship. I actually thought they had an amazing year
Oh yeah.
as a fan watching, because it's hard to keep the standard of championships, but they did.
Yeah.
They just didn't get the trophy,
Mhm.
But, what I know is true is as soon as the season ended, they're right back at work, all of them, hungrier than
Yeah,
ever
that's it.
to go back and do all the things they need to do, watch the film, eat better, do all the work that they need to do, teammates and otherwise. So, I think they're probably going to be around for a while. By the way, you know, because I'm an Alabama fan as well.
How you feeling right now?
A bit
Stay
depressed.
on.
It's January. Actually, loss and pain was preceded by blessing and gain. I learned was confirmed more about leadership by paying attention to Coach Saban over the last 17 years. That mattered more to me, the process,
Yeah.
because I was able to graft a lot of those lessons that I learned because I was a fan and I saw excellence, and take them into the lives of the people that are closest to me. So, but if you ask me how I'm feeling, I'm not watching any of my favorite sources of news for Alabama football. I have a close friend, a guy who works for me, who's the biggest Alabama fan ever. I told him 2 days ago, because he's getting married this year. He just got engaged, Hunter McElroy. And I told him, I said, Hunter, can I give you good advice? He said, Mr. Flood, please. I said, this wasn't about Alabama football, but then it became. I said, if I were you, I wouldn't read any news for a while, because I don't think it's going to be good.
Yeah.
And we talked about
Exodus.
feeding our brain, right?
That's it. Yeah.
Feeding our minds and feeding our souls. And I just told him, just give it a minute and be like the Georgia fans had to be. Just know that it's just not going to be that good all the time.
That's it.
Give me a goal or two for 24, specifically things that you really have top of your list. I'm really committed to doing specifically this.
I mean, always spiritually, I'm always looking to improve my relationship with God. That's just one thing that's always at the top of my list and at the forefront of my mind is how can I take things to the next level spiritually? How can I serve more? How can I operate out of my comfort zone more? And I know that's not necessarily a smart goal that's specific and measurable and all those different things, but just in my mind. Yeah.
And he knows. He's watching the film.
He knows, yeah.
He's watching the film
every single day. So there's the improvements. But, you know, business-wise, I want to do at least 100 keynotes. I want to, you know, continue to increase my consulting clients and get more clarity with my business and the messaging and strategies and all those things. But ultimately, man, if my relationship with God isn't there and, you know, with my daughter and my fiance and things, none of that stuff matters, man. So those are the most important priorities for me this year.
So, mine.
Yeah.
For those that are out there in relationship, I'm about to
give us some relationship.
Yeah. I'm about to
put us on the game. How many years?
I'm going to be 40 years,
man. Yeah.
July
You got to tell
28th
us your goals and years.
So my goals the last couple of years, and it is on my list again this year, is not to be mad at Lisa the entire year.
Good one. I'll check in with you in a month. See
how's that going?
Yeah.
No, you know, how we treat other people is a choice. And I love her and treasure her. And I want to make sure that the days that things aren't perfect in life, usually are the days that those things don't go well with the best relationships you'll ever have. Yeah. I don't want to choose poorly that day. So that's not get mad at Lisa. I'm getting that physical coming up here in the next couple of weeks. The other thing this year, relationally, which is the most important thing we do in life that I really have on top of my list, is this. We all do this, by the way. We tend to find the worst in people. And this year for me, I'm going to find the best in people and love on that, and then invest in the rest.
Nice.
If there's something about that person that I think I could be intentional to help adjust, everybody in their life might benefit more as a result of it. So, you know, I think we all judge and tend to judge, and we tend to look at what's wrong with people. And especially this year, we're going to an election. I just think we need to find what's best about people and love on that, and then invest in the rest and help them in any way we can. And then finally, we have 4 straight years as the #1 employer in Atlanta as the Journal-Constitution.
That's awesome,
and best place to work. So forget numbers. We want a 5-peat. I want a 5-peat.
Let's get it.
That's the associate, 170 strong at Supreme.
Yeah.
Telling myself and the leaders at Supreme that our lives are enriched by coming here every single day, and we're made better by being here every single day. So it's always been my #1 goal in business is to leave other people better than I found them. The folks that work there, they're my family. That's not my home family. They're my family that are in my workplace every single day. Hey, man, I'm so grateful that I'm in your life.
Likewise.
And you have 100 this year keynotes. Count me in. I'll take another one.
Awesome.
Now
All
you
right.
only got 99
Let's
left
go.
to fill, bro.
And I got a question for you, Pat.
Go ahead.
Because you're definitely a leader that I highly admire, man. Not just on the business side, you know, you're gonna get that 5 feet. I'm gonna speak it into existence right now, but just as a man, you know, as a father, as a husband, man, what are those things that you try to do day in and day out to just maintain being your best and maintaining that high level of standard?
You know, I think you mentioned it earlier in your life. When I say Bible, don't get scared. It's just a book. You've read a lot of books. Just another book with a lot of amazing and magical stories that give us guidance about how to behave in life and do things that are beneficial for others, which ultimately comes back to us. So I think about, I have less seasons left than I've already played.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be better this season than I was last season as a Christian, as a husband, as a father. And I want all the people in my life to know that that's what I want, because I want to benefit them in any way I can. And if I get better, it will benefit them. So that's what I'm after again this year.
Love it.
Trophy or not, I'm going after the championship. I know you are too.
That's it. Let's go.
God bless you, brother.
God bless.
Yep.
Yes, sir.